Hey everyone, this is about removing and dissolving, breaking up any of your mental barriers and your mental blocks that hold you back and keep you from accomplishing your goals and thus being successful. Now, if you ever feel like you're stuck or you keep repeating the same habits that you know are unhealthy and you want to stop, you just can't. You know, the other thing too is when people say, I want to lose weight. I know what I should be eating. I know how I should eat. I know what to do, but I just don't do it. Does that sound familiar? It also may be that you feel like you're not enough. You know, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a model, and I even went to modeling school. When I was like 22, my mom sent me to modeling school, and even at that time, I used to think, if only I was taller. And I still think to this day, if I was taller, how different my life could have been. So does that ever cross your mind that you're not enough? Maybe you feel like you're too tall, or you're, too fat, or you're too thin. If any of this sounds familiar, we are going to learn in this video different techniques, tips, and tricks to break through those mental barriers. First things that I'd like to start off with is you need to know that if you implement just one of my tips from this video or from any of my other videos with consistency, you'll see a change. You will see light coming in because you are going to be creating an opening for barriers and these blocks that we're going to talk about. I define them as a thought that has this energy, right? It's energy that's been stuck in a thought and compartmentalized right here, okay? You're constricted, it's small, your mind is worried with when is change gonna happen, how is it gonna change, and it keeps repeating the same habits, the same routines, the same thought processes, and we're not getting anywhere. What is the very first thing that we need to do to break this barrier? The first step to actually breaking through a mental block is kind of like the first step of all of my videos. It's like the first step of everything that you want to improve. And basically that is to identify it. You need to identify your barriers. So what is your barrier? And you might have a whole list of them. And if you do, then choose the one that you feel is holding you back the most to start working on. Or you may not be able to think of any barriers. You might not be able to think that far. You can't think of what your blocks are. And if that is you, I encourage you to be brave, okay? And ask the people around you. And wait, by doing this one that I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to gain two really good pieces of information, okay, from doing this experiment. It's like an experiment. You're going to ask the people around you, especially those that are close to you. You're going to say, how do you see me? That's what meaning that, do you see me as, a go-getter? Do you see me goal-oriented? Do you see me as lazy? Do you see me as a stoner? Listen to the words. That's the first key to this experiment. You're going to listen to how they describe you. This could be family. This could be friends. You could be out having drinks with friends, and you could say, let me ask you a question. How do you guys see me? How do you see my behavior? Describe me. What do you see? Now, you are going to pay attention to two things, right? The first thing that might happen is you're going to start maybe feeling you're going to start feeling like that defensive gloves where you want to fight and be defensive. And because if somebody says you're lazy and you've heard that all your life, then something comes up and you got your boxing gloves on and you're ready to fight, right? Or someone says something that, you're a stoner, same thing might happen. Or if someone says you're a go-getter, then you might have another thought that goes, no, I'm not. If I was, I'd have this, or I would have accomplished this. All you need to do is pay attention to your feelings and pay attention to the words that come into your head when people are saying how they see you, and listen to what they say. Now, you're going to do that if you have no idea what your blocks are, right? When you start finding out what these blocks are, your mental barriers, such as mind fog, or, getting stuck, right? What I want you to do is I want you to get a piece of paper and draw a line down this way. And on one side, on this side, you can write your block. Say it's brain fog. Maybe that's your block. You're doing fine and all of a sudden you just get into a fog and you can't do anything else. You cannot finish your goal. You cannot finish your task that you're doing. So you can put brain fog here, and on this side, you can write the task or the goal that you were trying to accomplish. Now, the goal, which we talked about in our last video, needs to be attainable and measurable. So putting that you want $1 million in your bank account here, right? When right now you have $5,000 or $500 out there. The subconscious mind is going to say, well, that's not going to happen. But if you were to put, the end goal is to have an extra $10,000 in the bank at the end of the year, and break it down to maybe like, $1,000 a month, which is $12,000, or maybe $800 a month. And you put that on this side, right across from where it says brain fog. And you can be able to see both of those things at the same time. You know what that does for you? Is it opens up an awareness to the opportunities and possibilities that are already around us, but we don't see them because of our barriers. You'll start to see, when you do this exercise and you write it on a piece of paper, that your mental barriers and your blocks have zero to do with your talents. First way to dissolve the block is when you identify it. When you identify your barrier, it no longer walks behind you. It no longer is a burden on your shoulders. You are walking alongside your challenges, alongside the parts of you that you don't really like. You recognize them, and not with negativity. That is number one. You recognize them. You shine a flashlight on that barrier. So here's a great example of one that I want to talk about, because a lot of us say, I don't have enough time. You don't know my life. You don't know that I'm already getting up early and that I have to get, do A, B, C. You know what you have to do in the morning to get going, to go to school, to go to work, to get the kids. And then I got to do this, and then I got to work. And then after work, I have to come home and I got to cook and I got to clean. And, the list goes on and on and on. And what you need to know, first off, before I tell you how to break this barrier of not having enough time, the first thing that you need to know is the more you say, I don't have enough time, and the more you justify that you don't have enough time with all of the excuses of why, right? The more you are making not having enough time a fact. The more you are validating it. It's like, I am going to fight to prove I don't have enough time. But here's the thing. Successful people, they all had a starting point. Every successful person had a starting point, similar to you and I. The difference is that they did whatever they had to do, right, to advance. Let me give you an example of not having enough time. There are many successful people that have said in the beginning, I don't have enough time. And what they did is they started waking up 15 minutes earlier. Then they went to 30 minutes earlier. Then they went to an hour earlier. There are people who are getting up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to have the block of time to do what it is that they have to do to accomplish their goals. That is the difference between someone who is successful and someone who is not successful, is that the people who are successful are willing to be uncomfortable. It's not comfortable to get up at 3:30 in the morning. Who wants to do that? Who? Not when you have to work. But you know what happens when I'm not saying you have to get up at 3:30, it could be 6 a.m., or the time could be, when you start really going into your time, it could be like Friday or Saturday nights, after work, you're going out for cocktails, with your buddies, and then that turns into something else. And you look at that time, it could be 6 hours right there. 6 hours a week of you spending, but I like to do that. I like to go out and have cocktails. Well, it's your choice. I'm talking about being successful. I'm talking about accomplishing your goals. I'm telling you that if you feel like you don't have enough time, the difference between someone who is successful is they will make adjustments and do whatever it is that they need to do to make that time. That is the difference for some people when they are successful and others who aren't. The people who are not successful at accomplishing their goals, most of them are not going beyond their comfort zone. They're not taking risks. They're not exploring, how can I do baby steps? See, a lot of people want to be successful and they just want that 10 grand a month. They just say, I'm going to make 10 grand a month. But that's not attainable and it's not realistic. Of course it can happen. Anything can happen. But you want to work with that subconscious mind of yours that has a belief system that was programmed a long time ago because something happened to you, and when it happened, your response created a belief system. And that is part of why you have mental barriers now. And these tips that I'm giving you break through those barriers. Each one of us, every single person, has two voices in their head, the subconscious voice and the conscious voice. You may consciously want something, but subconsciously want something else based on some belief system. And so what we have to do is retrain that subconscious mind. And the way you start to retrain it is by your habits, changing your routines, doing something different. When you do something different will come into your life. If you keep doing the same things that you've been doing over and over and over, then you are going to be experiencing the same life. And you know what? If you're okay with that and you're in peace with living in your world, then that's cool. You don't need to be doing any of the stuff in this video. But if you're like me, because I'm always thinking I could be doing this and I want to do this, and I'm always wanting to see movement towards my goals, that makes me happy. And you know what? You can be happy. You can be healthy. But you have to be brave and you have to have the courage to do the things that make you uncomfortable. This is Moonlight Mason, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and comment, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.